Captain Zextar stood in the middle of the biggest war room he had ever seen. His red skin looked dark under the bright lights. Around him sat the most dangerous beings in the galaxy. Each one came from a planet that killed most visitors within hours. The room buzzed with different alien voices. Some spoke in clicks and whistles, others made deep growling sounds. But they all understood the same language when it came to war and conquest. They had come together for one simple reason: to take over a small blue planet called Earth. Zextar looked at his data pad. It showed pictures of Earth and its people. The humans looked weak and soft. They had no thick skin like his people. They could not breathe poison gas like the Kalari. They could not survive in freezing cold like the Glacians. How could such weak creatures be dangerous? "This will be easy," said Commander Hrock, a huge being covered in rock-like armor. His people lived on planets where lava flowed like rivers. "These humans have thin skin and weak bodies. We will crush them in days." The other aliens made sounds of agreement. They had studied Earth for months. Their computers told them it was just another normal planet with normal dangers. Sure, it had some big animals and bad weather sometimes, but nothing compared to the hell worlds they came from. Admiral Kane Mitchell sat in his chair high above Earth. Through the big windows of the space station, he could see his home planet spinning slowly below. It looked peaceful and beautiful. Blue oceans, white clouds, and green land masses. But Kane knew looks could fool anyone. He had been a soldier for 30 years. He had fought in wars on different planets. He had seen things that would give most people nightmares. But right now, watching the alien fleet get closer, he felt more worried than ever before. "Sir, we count 2,000 ships," said Lieutenant Lisa Barnes. She was young but smart. Her fingers moved fast over her computer controls. "Each ship carries one warrior. These are not normal soldiers, sir. Our files say they are the best fighters from 12 different death worlds." Kane nodded slowly. He had read the reports. These aliens came from planets where the air could melt, metal, where the ground was made of acid, where storms could tear apart mountains. They were the survivors of the worst places in the galaxy. "Any response to our peace messages?" Kane asked. "No, sir. They ignore everything we send them. I think they have already decided to attack." Kane looked down at Earth again. Most people down there had no idea what was coming. They were living normal lives, going to work, playing with their children. They trusted their military to keep them safe. Kane just hoped he could do that. Dr. Amy Phillips worked late in her lab. Around her were pictures and data about alien life forms. She was Earth's top expert on creatures from other planets. For weeks she had been studying the information about the incoming invasion force. What she found made her stomach feel sick. The Threnody people had skin like rocks. They lived on planets where the temperature was hot enough to melt lead. The main Kalari could swim in acid that would dissolve human bones in seconds. The Glacians lived in cold so extreme that normal air would turn solid. But there was something the aliens did not understand about Earth, something that their computers could not measure. Amy had spent her whole life studying how life worked on their planet. She knew Earth was different from other worlds in ways that were hard to explain. Her phone rang. It was General Jake Morrison. "Dr. Phillips, I need you to tell me the truth. Can these aliens really survive anything Earth can throw at them?" Amy was quiet for a long moment. "General, I think these aliens are about to learn something new about survival." Commander Ryan Torres tried one more time to contact the alien fleet. He had been sending messages for 3 days. Peace offers, warning messages, even simple greetings. The aliens sent back nothing. Ryan was good at talking to different species. He had made friends with aliens before. He knew how to be polite and respectful. But these invaders did not want to talk. They wanted to fight. "Sir, they are entering our solar system," said his assistant, Officer Pete Davis. "Keep trying to reach them," Ryan said. "Maybe when they get closer they will listen." But deep down, Ryan knew it was too late for talking. Captain Zextar watched the blue planet grow larger on his screen. Soon his warriors would land on the surface. They would show these humans what real strength looked like. His people had conquered 15 planets. Earth would be number 16. Behind him, other alien captains prepared their soldiers. Each warrior carried weapons that could cut through steel. They wore armor that could stop bullets. They had strength that could break bones with one punch. Begin. The landing sequence, Zextar ordered. 2,000 ships began to move toward Earth. Inside each ship, a deadly warrior got ready for what they thought would be an easy victory. They had no idea they were flying toward the most dangerous planet in the galaxy. Admiral Kane watched the ships break through Earth's atmosphere. They spread out across the planet like a disease. Some headed for the Amazon jungle. Others flew toward Australia and Africa. The rest picked mountains and coasts. "Sir, should we attack them while they land?" asked Lieutenant Barnes. Kane shook his head. "No. Let them land. Let them see what Earth is really like." He had studied the reports about these aliens. They were tough and strong, but they had one big weakness. They were used to simple dangers, heat or cold, acid or poison. One thing at a time. Earth was different. On Earth, everything was connected. Every plant, animal, and tiny creature worked together in ways that were too complex for outsiders to understand. The aliens thought they were landing on a weak planet. Kane knew they were landing in a trap that had been millions of years in the making. Dr. Amy Phillips packed her equipment. She was going to observe the landings up close. As a scientist, she was excited to see how Earth's ecosystem would react to these invaders. As a human being, she almost felt sorry for them. The invasion of Earth had begun, but the aliens had no idea what they had really started. The first alien ships landed in the Amazon rainforest just as the sun came up. Steam rose from the wet ground as morning light cut through the thick trees. It looked peaceful and quiet. Captain Vorth stepped out of his ship and breathed in the warm, damp air. Vorth was a Threnody warrior. His people lived on planets where rocks melted like water. His thick, stone-like skin could handle heat that would cook most creatures alive. He looked around at the green forest and laughed. This place was cooler than his bedroom back home. "Spread out," he told his squad. "Find the human settlements. This will be over by lunch." But within an hour, Vorth noticed something wrong. His skin felt itchy. Small red bumps appeared on his arms. The other Threnody warriors complained about the same thing. Their perfect, rock-hard skin was reacting to something in the air. Sergeant Alex Turner crouched behind a fallen tree, watching the aliens through his binoculars. He had been a jungle warfare expert for 15 years. He knew every sound, smell, and danger in this forest. Right now, he was watching the toughest aliens in the galaxy discover what humans had learned long ago. The Amazon did not welcome strangers. "Control, this is Turner," he whispered into his radio. "The aliens are already having problems. They keep scratching their skin. And sir, the mosquitoes found them." Alex almost smiled. The aliens had armor that could stop bullets, but it could not stop insects the size of rice grains. Thousands of mosquitoes, flies, and tiny bugs swarmed around the invaders. The insects bit every small gap in their armor. They flew into their breathing holes and eyes. Captain Vorth swatted at the flying pests, but more kept coming. His squad moved slower now. 2 warriors had stopped to vomit. Their stomachs could handle poison that would kill 100 humans. But they could not handle the mix of plant chemicals, humidity, and microscopic life that filled every breath in the Amazon. "Sir," called Warrior Kex, "Warrior Bren is down." Vorth rushed over. Bren lay on the ground, his tough skin covered in welts and blisters. He was breathing hard and fast. His eyes were wide with fear. "What did the humans do to him?" Vorth demanded. "Nothing. Sir, he just got sick." Vorth stared at his fallen warrior. Bren had survived walking through lava. He had fought in acid rainstorms. But something in this green, peaceful forest was killing him. On the other side of the world, the Kalari forces landed in the Australian outback. Commander Zhel was confident as she led her troops across the red dirt. Her people could swim in acid strong enough to eat through metal. Australia looked dry and empty, perfect for a quick victory. Dr. Kate Wilson watched the Kalari from her hidden research station. She was a marine biologist, but she knew the outback well. She had spent years studying how life survived in harsh places. The aliens were about to get a very dangerous education. "They are heading straight for the creek bed," she reported to headquarters. "They have no idea what lives in the water here." Commander Zhel saw the small stream and ordered her troops to drink. Water was water, right? The Kalari could drink liquid that would dissolve human bones. A little creek on a primitive planet would be perfectly safe. The first warrior to drink from the stream collapsed within minutes. Then the second. Then the third. "Poison!" Zhel shouted. "The humans poisoned the water." But Dr. Wilson knew better. The water was not poisoned by humans. It was full of natural bacteria that had been in Australia for millions of years. Bacteria that local animals had adapted to, but that would attack any foreign organism. The Kalari had one more surprise waiting. As they set up camp near some rocks, they woke up the local wildlife. Australia was home to some of the most venomous creatures on Earth. Snakes, spiders, and jellyfish that could kill with one bite or sting. A taipan snake, one of the deadliest on the planet, bit Warrior Vel on the leg. His acid-proof armor did nothing against the tiny fangs. The venom spread through his system fast. Within an hour he was dead. Zhel stared at the small snake that slithered away. "How?" she whispered. "How can something so tiny kill one of us?" In Africa, the Glacian warriors faced their own problems. These aliens lived on frozen worlds where the air itself could freeze solid. The African heat should not have bothered them. They could handle both extreme hot and cold, but Africa had something their ice planets did not have: life. Colonel Steve Rogers coordinated the observation teams from his base camp. He watched the Glacian forces march across the savannah with their heavy armor and ice-cold weapons. They looked unstoppable. "Sir," called Captain Nicole Adams, "the first Glacian just went down." Steve looked through his scope. Sure enough, one of the massive alien warriors had fallen to his knees. Then another. Then several more. "What got them?" Steve asked. "Best guess?" "Tsetse flies." Steve shook his head in amazement. The Glacians could survive in places where metal became as brittle as glass. But tiny flies were bringing them down. The flies carried sleeping sickness, a disease that had troubled humans in Africa for thousands of years. But that was not the worst of it. As the Glacians weakened, other animals took notice. Lions, hyenas, and wild dogs began to follow the alien forces. The predators could smell weakness. They could sense that these strange creatures did not belong here. A pride of lions attacked the rear guard of the Glacian column. The aliens had weapons that could freeze a human solid in seconds. But the lions moved too fast, too smart. They worked together like they had been hunting aliens all their lives. 3 Glacians died before the lions melted back into the tall grass. Commander Yix spoke into his radio with panic in his voice. "Request immediate evacuation. We are under attack by everything." Back in space, Admiral Kane Mitchell listened to the reports coming in from around the world. The alien forces were in trouble everywhere they landed, and it had only been 2 days. "Sir," said Lieutenant Barnes, "we are getting distress calls from multiple alien units. They are asking for medical help." Kane was quiet for a moment. These were the same aliens who had come to conquer Earth. Now they were begging for help against mosquitoes and snakes. "Send medical teams," he ordered, "but keep them at a safe distance. Let the aliens know we are willing to help if they stop fighting." Dr. Amy Phillips arrived at the Amazon observation post just as the 3rd Threnody warrior died. She watched Captain Vorth and his remaining squad huddle together, trying to keep the insects away with their weapons. "What killed them?" Alex Turner asked her. Amy looked at the readings on her instruments. "Everything," she said quietly. "Bacteria, viruses, parasites, plant toxins, insect venom. Their immune systems cannot handle the biological complexity. Earth is fighting back with millions of years of evolution." She watched another alien warrior fall to his knees, covered in bites and rashes. "They came here thinking Earth was just another planet to conquer," Amy continued. "But Earth is not just a planet, it is a living system that protects itself. The first wave of the invasion was failing, not because humans fought back with guns and bombs, but because Earth itself was rejecting the invaders. The aliens had learned to survive on worlds with simple, brutal dangers, but Earth was different. Earth was alive, adaptive, and very, very protective of its children. The galaxy's greatest warriors were discovering that sometimes the most dangerous enemy is the one you cannot see. By the end of the first week, the alien invasion was falling apart. Captain Zextar sat in his command ship staring at reports that made no sense. His warriors were the best in the galaxy. They had conquered planets that would kill normal beings in minutes. But on Earth, they were dying from things so small they could not even see them. The Glacian forces in the mountains faced a new horror. Dr. Carlos Rodriguez tracked a massive storm system moving toward their position. He had been studying Earth's weather for 20 years. What he saw on his screens made him worried for the aliens, even though they had come to destroy his planet. "General Morrison, you need to see this," Carlos called. "There is a Category 5 hurricane heading straight for the Glacian camp. But that is not the worst part." General Jake Morrison looked at the weather data. "What could be worse than a hurricane? This storm is carrying 3 tornadoes, hail the size of baseballs, and lightning that is striking every few seconds. The temperature will drop 40 degrees in 1 hour, then shoot up 60 degrees the next hour. The aliens have never seen weather that changes this fast. The Glacians had lived through ice storms that could freeze planets solid, but those storms were predictable. They came, they froze everything, then they left. Earth's weather was alive, and angry and constantly changing. Commander Yix tried to move his remaining warriors to higher ground, but the storm caught them first. The wind hit like a physical blow. These aliens could survive in space without protection, but the hurricane winds carried things they had never faced before: dirt, rocks, pieces of plants, and millions of microorganisms. Each gust of wind was like breathing in a biological weapon. The aliens' air filters, designed for simple toxins, could not handle the complex mix of life that Earth's storms carried with them. The hail started next. Ice chunks the size of human fists hammered down on the Glacian armor. The aliens laughed, at first. Ice could not hurt them. But this ice was different. It carried bacteria and viruses that had been frozen in Earth's atmosphere for months. When the hail melted on their armor, it left behind microscopic invaders that began eating through their protective suits. Lightning struck the metal weapons and armor, but that was not the real danger. The electrical charge disrupted the aliens' biological systems in ways their scientists had never studied. Earth's lightning carried an energy signature that interfered with how their bodies worked. By the time the storm passed, only 12 Glacians were still alive out of the original 300. In the Amazon, things got worse for the Threnody forces. Tony Blake led a rescue mission into the jungle, but not to save humans. The aliens were trapped by rising floodwaters, and even Admiral Kane had decided they deserved help. Tony was a survival expert who had lived in jungles around the world. He knew the Amazon like his own backyard, but even he was amazed by what he found. "Control, this is Blake," he radioed. "The aliens are not just fighting the flood. The river itself seems to be attacking them." The Amazon River was rising faster than normal, but it was not just water. The flood carried everything that lived in the river: fish with razor teeth, electric eels that could stop a heart, bacteria that could eat flesh, and parasites that could take over a brain. Captain Vorth sat on a piece of floating debris with his last 5 warriors. Around them, the dark water bubbled and moved with life. Things with teeth swam just below the surface. The aliens' heat vision could see them, hundreds of creatures circling like sharks. "How?" Vorth asked the sky. "How can water be alive?" A caiman, a type of crocodile, grabbed warrior Kex and pulled him under the water. The aliens' screams lasted only seconds. These creatures had been hunting in this river for millions of years. They knew exactly how to kill. Dr. Helen Carter worked in her mobile lab near the Amazon flood zone. She was studying samples of the alien blood and tissue. What she found made her call an emergency meeting with all the top scientists. "The microorganisms are not just attacking the aliens," she explained to the group on video call. "They are learning from them. Earth's bacteria and viruses are adapting to alien biology faster than we thought possible." Dr. Amy Phillips leaned Forward on the screen. What do you mean, learning? I mean the microbes are sharing information. When one bacterium figures out how to attack alien tissue, it passes that knowledge to others. Earth's biological defense system is getting smarter every hour. The implications were terrifying. Earth was not just defending itself, it was evolving specifically to fight the invaders. Communications Officer Chris Parker intercepted more alien distress calls. The proud warriors who had come to conquer Earth were now begging their commanders for evacuation. But the most disturbing calls came from the alien ships in orbit. "Admiral Kane, you need to hear this," Chris said, playing back a recorded transmission. The voice was from Captain Zextar himself. "Command, our warriors are dying from causes we cannot identify. This planet is not what our scans indicated. We request permission to retreat." But the response from the alien home fleet was cold. "Request denied. Complete the mission, or do not return." Admiral Kane felt a strange mix of emotions. These aliens had come to destroy humanity, but now they were trapped on Earth, abandoned by their own people, dying from causes they could not understand or fight. In Australia, the Kalari forces faced a new enemy. The local Aboriginal people had been watching the aliens for days. Unlike the government forces, they understood the land in ways that outsiders never could. Elder Mary Wilson approached the Kalari camp with her grandson, Ranger Danny Cooper. They carried no weapons, but they knew something the aliens did not. "The water is poison to them," Mary told Danny. "But not the way they think. The poison comes from the land itself, from the spirits that protect this place." Danny nodded. His grandmother had taught him that every part of Australia was connected. The rocks, the water, the plants, the animals, they all worked together to keep the balance. The Kalari saw the two humans approaching and raised their weapons. But Mary and Danny just sat down and waited. Within an hour, the last of the Kalari warriors collapsed from diseases they had never encountered. The land had protected itself, just like it always did. Commander Zhel was the last Kalari alive. She looked at the old woman and young man who had done nothing but watch her people die. "What kind of weapons do you use?" she gasped. Mary smiled sadly. "We do not use weapons, child. We just live here. The land knows who belongs and who does not." Back on the command ship, Captain Zextar stared at his casualty reports. In 1 week, he had lost over half his invasion force. Not to human weapons or technology, but to things his computers could not even measure. Plants that released toxins when touched, insects that carried dozens of diseases, weather patterns that changed too fast to predict, water that was alive with invisible killers, air that carried biological weapons too small to see. Earth was not just a planet. It was a living entity that defended itself with the fury of millions of years of evolution. The invasion was failing, and Zextar finally understood why. His people had conquered simple death worlds, planets that killed with heat or cold or poison. But Earth was different. Earth killed with complexity, with life itself, with biological systems too intricate for outsiders to understand. The humans did not survive on Earth despite its dangers. They survived because they were part of those dangers. They belonged here in ways that no invader ever could. For the first time in his military career, Captain Zextar was afraid. Dr. Frank Miller made the discovery that changed everything. He was a scientist who studied rocks and how planets formed. For 3 weeks, he had been collecting samples from where the aliens landed. What he found was impossible, but the evidence was clear. "General Morrison, you need to see this data," Frank said over the secure video link. "Earth is not behaving like a normal planet." General Jake Morrison looked tired. He had been coordinating rescue operations for alien survivors all week. "What do you mean, not normal?" Frank pulled up charts and graphs on his computer. "Sir, the soil composition is changing in real time wherever the aliens land. The pH levels shift to become more hostile to alien biology. The bacterial populations are growing and adapting faster than should be possible. It is like the planet itself is actively fighting back." Jake stared at the data. "Are you telling me Earth is alive?" Not alive like an animal, Frank explained. But the entire biosphere is connected in ways we never understood. Every plant, every microbe, every insect, they are all sharing information somehow. When one part of the ecosystem learns how to fight the aliens, that knowledge spreads across the continent within hours. The implications were staggering. Earth was not just defending itself through natural processes. It was learning, adapting, and coordinating a planet-wide defense against the invasion. Captain Jim Foster documented the fall of the final alien strongholds. He was a military photographer who had seen war zones around the world. But this was different. The aliens were not being defeated by bullets or bombs. They were being dissolved by the very air they breathed. In what used to be the main Threnody camp, Jim found alien warriors huddled in their ships, afraid to step outside. Their advanced environmental suits were breaking down. The seals were failing, not from damage, but because Earth's microorganisms had learned to eat the materials the suits were made from. "Control, this is Foster," Jim radioed. "The aliens are trapped in their own ships. Their technology is being consumed by something in the environment." One alien, a young Threnody warrior named Vex, tried to communicate with Jim through broken English. "Help! Us!" the alien gasped. "Planet. Angry. Want us. Gone." Jim felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather. The alien was right. Earth did want them gone. Dr. Rose Parker was an environmental scientist who specialized in how ecosystems work together. She had been studying the alien landing sites for weeks. When she finally understood what was happening, she requested an emergency meeting with the surviving alien commanders. The meeting took place on neutral ground, a human medical ship hovering between Earth and the alien fleet. Commander Gel was the last surviving Kalari leader. Captain Vorth represented the few remaining Threnody. Commander Yix spoke for the handful of Glacians still alive. "Your invasion failed because you do not understand what Earth really is," Dr. Parker explained to the alien commanders. "You scanned our planet and saw individual dangers, predators, diseases, weather. But you missed the most important thing." "What?" asked Commander Gel weakly. Her acid-resistant skin was covered in welts and sores from Earth's biological attacks. "You missed that everything on Earth is connected. Every tree talks to every other tree through underground networks. Every bacterium shares information with every other bacterium. Every animal is part of a system that has been working together for billions of years." Captain Vorth leaned forward. "Are you saying your planet is intelligent?" "Not intelligent like you or me," Rose explained, "but aware, responsive. When you invaded, you did not just attack humans. You attacked the entire planetary ecosystem, and it fought back the only way it knew how, with life itself." The alien commanders were quiet for a long time. Finally, Commander Yix spoke. "Our death worlds kill with simple things. Heat, cold, acid, radiation. We learn to survive those dangers because they follow rules. But this Earth does not follow rules," Rose finished. "Earth is constantly changing, adapting, evolving. What works today might not work tomorrow. Only species that evolved here can keep up with the changes." Commander Neil Brooks had been studying the ocean-based alien operations. He was a marine biologist who had spent his career in Earth seas. The alien forces that tried amphibious landings had faced the worst casualties of all. "The ocean itself turned against them," Neil reported to Admiral Kane. "Not just the fish and sharks and jellyfish. The water chemistry changed. The currents shifted to carry the aliens away from their targets. Even the tides seemed to work against them." Neil had documented cases where alien submarines, built to withstand the pressure of gas giant atmospheres, were crushed by Earth's ocean currents. Currents that moved in patterns too complex for alien computers to predict. "How is that possible?" Admiral Kane asked. "The ocean is not just water, sir. It is a living system. Millions of microscopic organisms control the chemistry, the temperature, the currents. When the aliens entered the water, every drop of seawater became a weapon against them. The final proof came from space. Satellite images showed the Amazon, Rainforest actually growing faster in areas where aliens had landed. The African savanna was more green and alive than it had been in years. Even the Australian outback showed increased biological activity. Earth was not just defending itself. It was getting stronger from the fight. Captain Zexitar received the final casualty reports in his command center. Of the 2,000 elite warriors who had landed on Earth, only 97 were still alive. And that number was dropping every hour. These were not deaths from human weapons. These were deaths from breathing the wrong air, drinking the wrong water, touching the wrong plants. Earth was killing the galaxy's greatest warriors with things too small to see and too complex to understand. "Sir," his communications officer said quietly, "we are receiving surrender offers from several human governments. They are willing to help evacuate our remaining forces." Zextar almost laughed. The humans were offering to help the very aliens who had come to destroy them. Even now, facing the total failure of his invasion, the humans showed mercy. "Accept their offer," Zextar ordered. "Get our people off this death world before it kills them all." But as he gave the order, Zextar realized something that chilled him to his core. Earth was not a death world at all. It was a life world, so full of life that it could not tolerate anything that did not belong. The humans did not survive on Earth despite its dangers. They survived because they were Earth's children. They were part of the planet's immune system, adapted over millions of years to work with Earth's defenses instead of against them. Zextar had led an invasion against the most dangerous planet in the galaxy, not because it was hostile, but because it was alive. And like any living thing, when Earth was attacked, it fought back with everything it had. The invasion was over. Earth had won without firing a shot. Dr. Amy Phillips stood in her lab, looking at samples of alien tissue under her microscope. The cellular breakdown was complete. Earth's biological defenses had not just repelled the invaders, they had completely overwhelmed them. "We always thought humans were weak compared to these aliens," she said to her assistant. "But we were looking at it wrong. The aliens are strong on their simple death worlds. But Earth is not simple. Earth is the most complex biological system in the galaxy, and humans are the only species tough enough to be part of it." Outside her window, Amy could see the rescue ships landing to collect the few surviving aliens. Soon, they would be gone, carrying with them a message that would change how the galaxy saw Earth forever. Humans were not primitive creatures on a backwater planet. They were the apex survivors of the ultimate biological laboratory, a world so dangerous and complex that only its own children could call it home. The rescue ships arrived on day 28. Admiral Julie Davis commanded the human fleet that came to save the aliens who had tried to destroy them. It felt strange, but it was the right thing to do. The few surviving invaders were broken, sick and terrified. Only 93 aliens were still alive when the evacuation began. By the time the ships reached orbit, that number had dropped to 89. Earth was still killing them, even as they tried to leave. Commander Gary Phillips interviewed each survivor before they left. He was a military intelligence officer who spoke several alien languages. His job was to understand what had really happened during the invasion. "Tell me about your homeworld," Gary said to Captain Vorth, one of the last surviving Threnody warriors. Vorth looked like a shadow of his former self. His rock-hard skin was cracked and bleeding. His eyes were hollow with exhaustion and fear. "My planet has lava rivers and acid rain," Vorth whispered. "The air is hot enough to melt metal. We are born in that heat. We grow strong in that heat. But this place..." He shuddered. "This place does not just try to kill you, it learns how to kill you." Gary nodded and made notes. What was different about Earth? "On my world, the dangers are simple. Hot rock, poison gas, acid water. You adapt to those things or you die. But here, every breath brings new dangers. The very air changes to attack you. The ground learns to reject you. Even the water decides you do not belong." Commander Zhel, the last Kalari leader, told a similar story. Her people could swim in acid that would dissolve human bones, but Earth's bacteria had adapted to her biology within hours. "We thought we were strong," she said to Gary. "But we learned that strength means nothing against a planet that thinks." "You believe Earth is intelligent?" Gary asked. Shell was quiet for a long moment. "Not intelligent like us, but aware. When we landed, the whole planet knew we were there. Every tree, every insect, every tiny creature that we could not see. They all worked together to remove us." The most disturbing interview was with Commander Yix, the surviving Glacian leader. His people had conquered frozen worlds where the cold could freeze atoms solid, but Earth's complexity had overwhelmed them completely. "Your planet is not just alive," Yix told Gary. "It is angry. We have invaded many worlds. We have seen fear, resistance, even hatred. But this was the first time a planet itself rejected us." Dr. Maria Gonzalez compiled the final reports with a mixture of scientific fascination and genuine sadness. She had studied the casualties throughout the invasion. The 95% death rate was unlike anything in military history. They did not die from violence, Maria explained to the Global Defense Council. They died from existing on a planet that was not designed for them. Every breath, every step, every touch was slowly killing them. The alien warriors had been equipped with the best technology in the galaxy. Their armor could stop weapons that could destroy cities. Their life support systems could keep them alive in the vacuum of space. But none of that helped against an ecosystem that adapted faster than their technology could compensate. "The most disturbing part," Maria continued, "is that Earth was not even trying to kill them. The planet was just being itself. The same biological processes that make Earth beautiful and full of life were deadly to the invaders." Captain Zexitar prepared his final transmission to the Galactic Command. He sat alone in his ship, surrounded by empty chairs where his officers used to sit. All dead, not from human weapons, but from breathing human air. "Command, this is Captain Zextar of the failed Earth invasion force," he began. "I am transmitting our final report. Classification level: absolute maximum danger." He paused, thinking about how to explain what had happened. How do you tell the greatest military minds in the galaxy that they had sent their best warriors to attack a planet that could kill with kindness? "Earth is not a primitive world suitable for conquest," Zextar continued. "Earth is a Category 12 apex death world. I repeat, Category 12. We did not know this classification existed until now." He took a shaking breath before continuing. "The humans do not control this planet. They are part of it. Every human is adapted to survive biological complexity that would kill our best warriors in hours. They live symbiotically with the most dangerous ecosystem in the galaxy." Zextar looked at the data one more time. 95% casualties. Not from battle, but from simply existing in the wrong place. Recommendation: mark Earth's solar system as a permanent no-entry zone. Update all galactic maps to show maximum danger warnings. Classify humans as apex death world natives. Approach only with extreme caution and full biological isolation protocols. As the alien ships prepared to leave Earth's solar system, Admiral Julie Davis sent them a final message. "Safe travels. You are welcome to return in peace whenever you choose." Even after everything that had happened, the humans offered friendship. It was a lesson that Captain Zextar would never forget. The surviving aliens returned to their home worlds, but they were changed forever. They carried with them nightmares of a planet where the very air was alive and hostile, where microscopic creatures could bring down warriors who had conquered solar systems. More importantly, they carried respect. Humans were no longer seen as primitive creatures on a backwater planet. They were survivors of the ultimate test. They had been born and raised on a world so dangerous that it had defeated the galaxy's finest warriors without even trying. Within months, Earth's location was marked on every galactic map with the highest level danger warnings. Trade routes were redirected to avoid the solar system entirely. The few alien species brave enough to visit Earth came with full environmental suits and stayed only long enough to conduct essential business. Earth had become the most feared planet in the galaxy, not because humans were aggressive, but because they lived somewhere that nothing else could survive. The invasion had lasted 28 days. For 28 days, Earth had shown the galaxy what a real death world looked like. Not a simple planet with extreme heat or cold or poison, but a living system so complex and adaptive that only its native children could call it home. Dr. Amy Phillips published her final research paper 6 months after the invasion ended. The title was simple: Why Earth is the Ultimate Death World, a Study in Biological Complexity. Her conclusion was even simpler. Humans do not survive on Earth despite its dangers. Humans survive because they are those dangers. We are not separate. From Earth's ecosystem, we are Earth's ecosystem. Any alien species attempting to invade our world is not fighting humans. They are fighting the planet itself. The galaxy learned to leave Earth alone, not because they feared human weapons or technology, but because they feared what humans had adapted to survive. If humans could live on a planet that killed Deathworld warriors with invisible microscopic life, then humans themselves must be more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Captain Zextar spent the rest of his life studying Earth from a safe distance. He became the galaxy's leading expert on Deathworld classifications. His research led to the creation of a new category of planet: living worlds. These were planets where life itself had become the dominant force, where evolution had created systems so complex that only native species could survive. Earth was the first and only known example of a living world, and humans were its perfect children. The invasion of Earth by 2,000 Deathworld warriors had ended with 95% casualties. But the real victory was not in the numbers. The real victory was in understanding. Earth was not just another planet. It was home to the most successful species in the galaxy, humans who had learned to dance with danger, to breathe poison and call it air, to swim in complexity and call it life. The galaxy had tried to conquer Earth and failed. Now they knew why. Earth could not be conquered because Earth was not just a place. Earth was a living entity, and humanity was its immune system, its children, its greatest achievement. The Deathworld warriors had come to Earth expecting to find prey. Instead, they found predators so perfectly adapted to their environment that they did not even realize how dangerous they were. The invasion was over. Earth remained home to the most dangerous species in the galaxy, humans who were tough enough to call paradise, a place that would kill anyone else who tried to visit. And that was exactly how Earth liked it.